But anyway, moving straight on to a very different world with Tim Burton's Frankenweenie. Claire, can you tell us about this one?
Sure. It's young Victor conducts a science experiment to bring his beloved dog Sparky back to life, only to face unintended, sometimes monstrous consequences and mild peril. It's a claymation remake of the 1984 short that he actually made, which I think you can watch on YouTube. I think the full video is up on YouTube. And I felt this film went back to the Edward Scissorhands universe, where it's kind of the 1950s family with the wonderful suburban life, but this real darkness that's underneath, that's brewing. And in some cases, even the kids start discussing that why is there a storm every night, and there's little bits of conversation in that just really, really enjoyable, because you feel like you're actually there in the town. Story-wise, I loved it. I not as good as Paranorman. I think that was a step above, just generally with the storytelling. But now we've got 3D printing. The quality of the claymation has really, really upped its game, and this film is another demonstration of it. It's in black and white, and I think there's a lot of people who will be like, oh, it's with Blu-ray and or 3D filmmaking now, that it is nice to see a filmmaker going back saying, I'm going to use black and white. I tried to see it in the States, couldn't get into any cinema when I was over there, because it came out in November last year. So I just thought it was absolutely lovely. Obviously I really I've had dogs all my life apart from now, so obviously I felt it quite touching, because obviously your dog passes away. It's one of the saddest things that ever happens to you, especially as a kid, because it's your best friend. But I mean, just to show you how cute this film is there's one scene of the psychic cat poo. So basically the cat does a poo, and if it comes up in the shape of your first initial, something life-changing will happen to you. And it's those little things that just really made this film for me. I don't know, I'm not that into cat poo or anything, but it's just...
Did you focus on the cat poo until...
it was all about the cat poo.
Very cute
all
film.
about the cat poo. Yeah, I thought it was a good little movie. I've got to say, I didn't think it was quite as good as the original short film, which I remember seeing. It was on before Nightmare Before Christmas when I saw that at Beau Jour, and I remember being very taken with a little short film. Not so much of this, but I've got to say, by the end I had a little tear in my eye. It was quite sweet at the end. Yeah. I think what it misses from Paranorman and something like Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs is it either needed that sense of fun that those two films had sort of at their heart, or it needed to just dial up or it needed to go the other way. Yeah. And become more of a horror. Like you say, there's those really sort of foreboding things where they're chatting about the lightning. There's some... I mean, one of the things that didn't work, there's some odd business with a science teacher in which Tim Burton seems to be saying, well, I'd like to make this sort of social point. Yes. And I'll just sort of hammer that in there. But it's really well animated. It's one of those films you look at and every other time something happens, you think, this can't be animated in this way, it must be this way. And then you keep a bit like Paranorman, you keep sort of going back and forth. But no, it's a delightful little film, and I think for sort of a PG, it's quite a good introduction into horror movies, and it does get quite sort of nasty a few bits near the end. It does, yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of films. I mean, Brave won the Oscar for Best Animation this year. I don't really. I mean, I'm a nobody, but I don't really generally agree with that. I mean, I think Pixar they're an outstanding company. Obviously, Paranormal was actually more expensive to make than all the other films. I think Frankenweenie was 36 million, and Paranormal was 66 million to make. But just the issues that it dealt with, I think all of them have had to deal with death or some kind of very dark issues. With Frankenweenie, it's at the end kind of took me a bit, because they allow. Well, I don't want to give any spoilers away, but I thought the ending would have been quite different. I was very surprised with the ending of Frankenweenie, considering how the rest of the pace of the other animations have been this year. I thought, oh, that's kind of ended quite abruptly with no further explanation to anything, which in one level it was quite sweet, but on the other level, other films this year have dealt more, I think, little bit deeper with things to do with death and stuff. It's very difficult to have that portrayal in children's films, but yeah, I would have liked to have seen a little bit more expression of reasoning behind things instead of something you just take it as is, if that makes sense.
I haven't seen this one, but I did watch, on your recommendation, Paranorman last week.
Oh, did you enjoy?
Great,
just thought it was just brilliant. It's great,
Wow.
and like you say, dark and interesting,
Really
and
dark, yeah.
and surprising as well. You know, with some of the way the characters turn out and everything, and just quite brave, and like you say, just nice and different. And
Yeah.
one thing we talk about a lot, I think I mentioned in the last podcast, when we talk about Wreck-It Ralph, was, you know, these films do struggle for me to come to that narrative conclusion that's satisfying, and Paranorman very much does that, because of kind of what's gone before it, I really liked it. So I haven't seen Frankenweenie, but would certainly recommend people to watch.
I've had quite a few
Paranorman.
people say to me that my review of Wreck-It Ralph was quite, like, I took it quite darkly, but I generally saw a lot of stuff in there that
Say
I
what you
felt was exactly. But I did have a few people, why are you looking so deeply into it? It's like, well, take it at this point and this point. They were like, oh yeah, I do actually see what you mean, but it's quite extreme. It's like, well,
we didn't go Room 237 on it,
no,
so you know, it's something to be said.
And you didn't see Die Hard,
no.
seriously, terrible. Anyway.